Since we're at the end of 2023, I thought the best way to talk about the books I gave 5 stars this year would be to go through all of them in a tier list I made and re-rate them, because sometimes you read a book and you feel a little bit differently about it a little bit after. So I have a couple of tiers on this. The first tier I have is a 6-star tier, as in these are some of the best books I read this year. The next tier I have was correctly rated. Below that I got wrapped up in things, but it's still like a 4.5. Below that I have one called I don't want to talk about it. I'm not exactly sure what's gonna go there. And then the last tier I have is probably not a 5-star, but I don't care, I'm giving it 5 stars. So this year I've read a lot of books. I think as of now, it's basically the end of the year, but I think I read like 182 or something like that, which is a ridiculous amount of books. And I was very lucky because this is like the first full year I spent reading, so there were so many great books for me to read. So I had a lot of 5-star reads. So I'll start off. I have these ordered from when I read them. So the first books I read in January, and the ones at the end are the most recent books I read. So starting off, I have Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. Now I read these at the very beginning of the year, January. So honestly, I loved this series, but what happens in each specific book is a little blurry to me. This is one of my favorite series I've read this year. But like I said, I can't even remember which one was my favorite, but I'm going to put Clockwork Princess just because it's the last one and the epilogue, crazy, in my 6-star best of the best, and the other two I'm going to put in correctly rated just because this book series, oh my god. Jem is one of my favorite characters that I've read about this year in general, and the series focuses on him a lot, so I'm not gonna lie, Jem is mostly the reason I love this book series so much. Next, I moved on to the next trilogy, which is Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, and Queen of Air and Darkness. I'm running into a similar issue. I can't remember exactly what happens in each book, but I loved these books. I could say like I might have gotten wrapped up in things, but like I really did love these books. I specifically remember the end of Lord of Shadows because the ending of that one was so crazy. I was very glad I had Queen of Air and Darkness already on hand. Next, I have some books from the ACOTAR series. You'll notice it's not all of them. I didn't give all of them 5 stars, but I did give A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Silver Flames 5 stars. I'm going to say correctly rated. Wings and Ruins, I think, is a 6-star. And Silver Flames, I love Nesta, but I am only gonna put her under was correctly rated. But A Court of Wings and Ruins has some of my favorite quotes. It was such a fun book that I just loved it. And I was kind of worried that I wouldn't because so much of it is like war-based, but I think A Court of Wings and Ruins is my favorite. Next, oh god, I just messed something up. Next I read Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Was correctly rated. I don't even care. I love this book so much. I loved the themes in this book. I really liked the character of Carrie Soto, which might be a controversial topic, because she is kind of an unlikable character. She's like very strong and harsh, but I adored her. Next we have Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. Now, it was kind of hard to get into Dance of Thieves. I picked this book up once earlier in the year and put it down because I couldn't get into it. In the first like 20 pages, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't understand the landscape or the politics or like what the world looked like. And when I gave it another shot, I just had to like get through it a little bit more, and everything ended up making more sense, and it was a 5-star read. I love Kazi, but I think I might put Vow of Thieves in I got wrapped up in things, but it's still a 4.5 because it is. I just like enjoyed the plot of Dance of Thieves more than the plot of Vow of Thieves. There were just some things, it wasn't the same as Dance of Thieves. Still a great duology, still loved both of them. Babel is just going into best of the best. I don't really want to talk about this book. I was sobbing reading this book. It was wonderful. I highly recommend this book. Next, this is not the order in which I read it, and I messed this up earlier, but I have Heartstopper. Now, I was reading these books. They're super easy. I binged all 4 of them in a couple of hours one night. And I didn't feel like putting all 4 of them up, so I just put the first book, but it's encapsulating all 4 of them for all intents and purposes. And I'm going to put this in probably not a 5-star, but I don't care, I'm giving it a 5-star because it's just hard to rate because it's very different in my, like, it's a graphic novel and the story is sweet, but it's still deeper. So I guess I just don't really know how to rate this, but I enjoyed it. And I feel like giving it less than 5 stars isn't right. I just don't know how to rate graphic novels is basically what I'm saying. Crooked Kingdom. I don't know. I enjoyed this book series and I would love to see more from it, but I just don't know. I don't know if it's a 5-star for me actually, like anymore looking back on it. It was a crazy book and it was a fun ride, but I don't know. I'm being like really harsh right now. Like, I think it would be fine. I could put it as a 5-star, but I'm being like really nitty gritty right now. So I'm gonna say it's a 4.5. And I think I gave Six of Crow either a 4 or a 4.5 as well. So I think this is probably on brand actually, because Leigh Bardugo really did have me, like, because there's so many different points of views. We would see something from one point of view and I'd be like, no way, like they can't be doing that. And then there'd be like a minor plot twist. It would be like misleading on purpose. I'm just leaving it here. Next, Once Upon a Broken Heart. Yeah, that's a 4.5 is probably actually really generous. If I would re-rated this, I'd probably give it a 4 just because it's a great story. It's loads of fun, but Ballad of Never After, that's a true 5-star in my opinion. I'm putting the first one in 6 best of the year and the second one incorrectly rated. I don't know. Like, this series was like a best of the best this year for me, but I don't want to put them both there. That seems boring. They're both really great books, 5-star and up. Little Thieves, I'm moving this to the top even though that isn't how I've been doing these, but Little Thieves might just be my favorite book of the year. I adore this book. If you take one book from this video to read next year, let it be Little Thieves. Please, I'm begging. It is such a wonderful story and it's written so well and the characters I feel like are so deep and it's a really interesting story. It's kind of one of the first like kind of folky fantasy books I feel like I read and I just loved it. Next I have We Were Dreamers, which is an autobiography, a memoir. I get them confused all the time, but it's by Simu Liu and I just loved this book. He kind of dives into like his life growing up and his parents' life, and it's just a truly lovely story. It does touch on like immigration and then growing up and ending up in Hollywood essentially. But I took so much away from this book. But it feels so weird to rate memoirs and stuff. I give them all 5 stars because I think it's really wonderful, but I truly took something away from We Were Dreamers. Painted Devils. This is the second book in the Little Thieves trilogy. I'm gonna put it in was correctly rated just because the whole series is like the best thing I read this year, it feels like. I don't know about these next two. The Last Hours trilogy, I have not finished. I read the first 2 over the summer and I was too scared to read the third one. And I was like invested in these books because that's just what these books do to me. Cassandra Clare and the Shadowhunter series, they just like drag me in, and I'm just in the thick of it. I'm eating it up. I'm flying through them. But this does not touch like Clockwork Princess. I'm doing this. I'm standing by this. It is what it is. Divine Rivals was correctly rated. It felt like a very different fantasy. There was a lot going on, but it also felt like it wasn't. It felt like a more calm fantasy for me, like cozy, even though it definitely was not. I don't know, I love Divine Rivals. I have Ruthless Vows that I'll be starting soon. Next I have The Firekeeper's Daughter. This was a great book, was correctly rated. I stand by it. I started the second book that like kind of follows, that's in the same world of this series, because I wanted to find out one specific thing. I won't get into it. The Fourth Wing. I'm gonna put it in. I don't want to talk about it. I would not say, looking back at it, that this is a 4.5, but Fourth Wing is like interesting because it feels like a soap opera that I'm just like so invested in. Like it makes me understand why people love soap operas, because it's just like crazy stuff is happening and it's always happening. There's like no real lulls in it, so you kind of get wrapped up in it. But I might give this a 4. I might give this a 4.5, but honestly I just don't want to talk about it. The Brothers Hawthorne. This is another one. I don't know exactly where this goes. Believe it or not, I did give this a 5 stars because I stand by the Inheritance Games and I stand by Miss Jennifer Lynn Barnes. The Inheritance Games is like one of the books that got me, one of the book series that got me really into reading last year. So The Brothers Hawthorne is just like a kind of sentimental series to me, and I love Grayson. Grayson was my favorite brother, out of him and Jameson at least, because they're still Xander, but I'm just gonna put it in probably not a 5 star, but I don't care, I'm giving it 5 stars. And by that I mean I know it's not 5 stars and I just really don't care. This book definitely felt like filler, probably necessary filler to lead into the next story. Could it have been a novella? Maybe. I mean, I was still excited to get more of a book series I love, but yeah, probably not a 5 star. Foul Lady Fortune. Okay, this one's interesting because I read Foul Lady Fortune in, I don't know, March of this year, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.5, and then I reread it when Foulheart Huntsman came out, and I had not stopped thinking about Foul Lady Fortune since I read it. And I was like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have given it a 4.5. It should have been a 5 star book. So when I reread it, I gave it a 5 star. I like Foul Lady Fortune more than Foulheart Huntsman, but I loved everything about Foul Lady Fortune. I liked the twists and the surprises. It was like the first kind of like espionage book I read, and I loved that. I loved Rosalind and Orion. They are some of my favorite characters from this year too, like possibly my favorite couple, I think. Kind of best of the best, which is crazy because I gave it a 4.5 at first. Next I have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy, was correctly rated. It was a very interesting and entertaining book, and it couldn't have been an easy book to publish. Was correctly rated. Next I have some of the Harry Potters. Not all of them. One, two. Just don't ask any questions. I have every book in the Harry Potter series here except for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I give that one a 4. Because all the other books, Harry Potter, honestly, this reading experience was one of the best reading experiences I had all year. I had never like actually read this series when I was really little, like 5. Like my mom audiobooked some of them, and I've seen all the movies, but there was so much I either like just didn't remember. There's a lot that's in the books and not in the movies, so you know, major things I remembered. Who certain characters are, like people who die. I remembered those things, but it kind of did feel like not like I didn't know the story when I was reading it. So it was great. I loved Prisoner of Azkaban though, so that is in my like best of the best. And the rest, except for Deathly Hallows, I have under was correctly rated. The only reason Deathly Hallows didn't get a 5-star from me was because it's like nothing's wrong with it. Like it was just like the point of the last book. There was just like no real happy times. And I love in the other books the Quidditch matches and the fun things that happen at school, and that's not what the Deathly Hallows was. And that's okay. I just didn't give it a 5-star. I did, however, after binge reading that series, read the play, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and I think I'm just gonna put it in. I don't want to talk about it. Except like I kind of do want to talk about it because I loved this. I think this book has low ratings. I think it was the lowest rated book I read this year. I think it's just low rated because people expect it to be the same caliber as the Harry Potter series is, and that's not what I was expecting. I know this is a play. It's gonna be so different, so different. But I think it ties up some loose ends. It's very much a feel-good story, you know. It's supposed to be kind of like nostalgic, give you like some happy endings. So if you don't like that, you might not like this, but I love that and I needed this. So I gave it a 5-star. I'm not mad about it. And lastly, I have Check and Mate, which is one of my favorite I'm sitting here talking because I was about to say this is like one of my favorite romance books I read this year, which is saying a lot because I don't read a ton of like solely romance rom-com-y books. But as I was saying that, I was thinking, well, actually there was one other romance book that I really loved this year and rated 5 stars, and it seems I forgot to put it on here, but that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And that would be incorrectly rated. I loved Yours Truly. Great book. I think I might have liked Check and Mate a little bit more though, because I think this is marketed as YA. I think it can be YA. I think new adult might be a better classification for it. I could be wrong though. It could be marketed as new adult. But I loved this. I loved this a lot, and I had never really read a lot of Ali Hazelwood's books. I haven't read the first 2 she ever came out with, The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain. I haven't read those, but I liked Love Theoretically a lot. I liked that book a lot, so I was really excited when Check and Mate was gonna come out because, you know, YA romance, like love, can't get enough of that. And it was just a 6-star. Like I really liked the characters. I felt like there was deeper meaning to the book outside of just the romance. I thought the family aspect was really interesting and entertaining, and I loved it. Also, I just thought it was like really funny. I thought parts of it were really funny because my boyfriend is really interested in chess and he likes to follow it a little bit. But all in all, I had a really great year reading. I got really nitty gritty on this. I don't think there's any book that I rated 5 stars that I really disagree with, that I would like actually change my rating for. Especially because the one like that I would change the rating for, like, I just don't care. It's not 5 stars, but I'm giving it 5 stars. It was really fun to go through all the 5-star reads I had this year, and there were a lot of them. There are also so many books that I rated like 4 stars or 4.5 stars that would have made like such great honorable mentions that like I want to talk about, like the Legendborn series. God, I kind of want to reread that, except I know I'm gonna have to reread it in like 2025 when the 3rd book finally comes out. But it was nice to go through these books, remind myself of what I read earlier this year, and go through them and talk about a lot of books that I haven't talked about on here before. And I don't know, I like the idea of re-ranking books, especially because it's been on my mind for some of them. But hopefully I can do something like this again next year. Hopefully there's enough 5-star reads for me next year to do something like that, like this, because there were so many this year. But I have a feeling there might be. I'm going to be reading Throne of Glass in January, so hopefully everything goes well. But thanks for watching. I hope you have a great end of the year and a great 2024.